Hi, my name is Nick Burnham and I'm here for Motorboat and Yachting in Lymington at Burthon, which is the UK home of Windy. Now we've come here to do a used boat test on a Windy Chinook, and I'm meeting Ben Toogood, who is the guru of all things Windy. Now the original plan was to drive down to Mercury Marina on the Hamble to see the boat, but we've got an absolutely fantastic, biting cold but crystal clear January day. You can see the frost on the boat behind me. And Ben came up with a great idea: why don't we go by boat? Now the boat we're using is this. It's a Windy Chimera 39. It's a 39-foot high-performance sports boat. It's got a pair of 5.5 litre 400 horsepower Volvo Penta engines in it, and it'll do about 45 knots. Well, I guess it'll just have to do. Now you might think it's a bit odd to start a Windy Chinook used boat test with a trip out on a brand new Chimera, but actually I think it makes a very good point, because the 45-foot sports cruiser market is very hotly contested. You've got boats like the Sunseeker San Remo, you've got the Princess V48 of course, and you've got the Fairline Tiger 48, and they're all great boats. But what Windy brings to the table is high performance and serious seakeeping, and this boat we're on here absolutely cements those credentials. This is a really serious sports boat. It's all about high performance and handling. And nobody builds a boat like this anymore. If you think about it, Princess don't, Fairline don't, and even Sunseeker don't build out and out sports boats like this. I think this boat really cements the DNA. Anyway, enough waffling. We're going to open those taps and see what it'll do. Minutes, Lymington to the Hamble. That sure beats commuting down the N27. Right, let's go and find this Windy Chinook. So here we are in the saloon of a Windy Chinook. After our exhilarating run down the coast, we've got the heating on and we're defrosting nicely. So, the Windy Chinook. Well, they started this boat in 2008. They built the boat in Norway, and the first version that they brought out was the 44. Now they've kept the layout the same, and it's a little bit different to what you'd normally find on a sports cruiser of this style. Rather than the massive 4-beam master cabin that so many builders put in, what Windy have done is they've put the master cabin forward with a central island bed, and that's left space at the back of the boat for 2 guest cabins rather than 1. So you've got 1 cabin with twin bunks in and 1 cabin with a double berth in, so you've got a terrific amount of flexibility there. In the centre of the boat here, well, the dinette's a little bit smaller than you might find on competitors, but it's a great little snug somewhere to have a coffee in the morning or slip away of an evening. But the idea is that your main living is done up on deck. Now this particular model one here, this is a 45. This model launched in 2012 after production was moved to Windy's existing factory over in Sweden. Now the key difference with the 45 over the preceding 44 is these windows behind me here. The 44 has the overhead skylights, but on the 45 they added these windows to give a bit more light into the interior and also a great view out. But the other thing Windy did was they approached Isgard Design in London to come up with a more contemporary interior. So there's some really nice detailing in here, things like these stainless steel fillets that you get just here, the way they've radiused these cupboard doors just here. It's just lifted the whole interior of the boat. But the other changes are reserved for the cockpit, so we'll go up there next and have a look at those. So it's up here in the cockpit that you also notice a big difference between the 44 and the 45. On the 44, the boat was fitted with a solid sliding roof section in the hardtop above me. On the 45, they changed that to a fabric roof, and that meant that the opening could be a lot larger. So this opens all the way back a lot further than it did on the 44. The other thing they did on the 45 was they extended the overhang at the aft end of the hardtop, which means your canopy now doesn't need a frame. It can just drop vertically straight down from the trailing edge. But I think what you really find when you sit at this helm is what a driver focused boat this is. So for example, you've got electric height adjustment for the helm seat that I'm sat on here, and it's a proper wraparound bucket seat. You've got space for 3 crew alongside you here, so everyone can sit up here, enjoying the view and really enjoying the boat underway. And even this chart plotter here is on a switch where you can actually swivel that, so whether you're stood or you're sat down, you can angle that so that you can see it clearly. Now the other interesting thing about the Chinook is that Windy offered 2 different drive systems. You can have this boat without drives or with IPS. The engines, if you go for IPS, are the IPS 600, they're 435 horsepower each, and the outdrives are D6, initially 370 horsepower, and then when the 400 horsepower D6 came out, those got offered as well. And it's a real performance boat, this one. With the IPS 600s in, this is touching almost 40 knots. Now you compare that with something like a Princess V48, which is a more voluminous boat, and that's low 30s flat out. And again, it just speaks of the high performance credentials of this boat. Now here at the back end of the cockpit you get to see the tremendous seating area that you have on this boat. They haven't wasted any space to sunpad. This is all a great big social area. Although having said that, you can lower this table electrically and make this into a sunbathing area if you wish. Now when Windy went from the 44 to the 45, they extended the bathing platform slightly, hence that model change, so that you had room to put a dinghy on the back of the boat. But in 2016 they upgraded again to the 46, and that extended the bathing platform even further, and also introduced a hydraulic lift, and that meant that you could put a Williams 285 jet rib on there if you wanted to. Now Windy is still innovating with this boat, and in fact they've got plans to bring out a further version which will be more of a med spec, so this area here will convert to a sunbathing area that extends out across the back of the boat. The other change that they're making is, if you do want that full beam master cabin, they're bringing out a 2-cabin version, so you'll get a full beam master cabin in the centre of the boat, and your forward cabin will be a guest cabin, and that then brings it into line with the competitors, albeit you'll still have the 3-cabin option if you want it.